When two of the most watched souls in the world decided to step away from the chaos, they didn't flee the city or abandon the spotlight. Instead, they built a sanctuary high above it, a place where love could breathe without applause. This is the story of Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco, and the mansion that became their quiet miracle. The sun was lowering over Beverly Hills when a quiet convoy of black SUVs turned into a gated driveway. Inside one of them sat Selena Gomez, her face half hidden behind tinted glass, watching the city blur into gold. Beside her, Benny Blanco leaned back in the seat, one hand loosely holding hers, their silence saying more than words. They had signed the papers that morning, a $35 million purchase that was already making headlines around the world. But to them, it wasn't a transaction. It was the beginning of something sacred, a chapter written in marble and glass. The mansion rose like a dream from the hillside, sleek, modern, and almost too perfect to be real. It had been built for spectacle: 10 bedrooms, 15 bathrooms, a private theater, and an infinity pool that seemed to pour into the horizon. For years, it had been the home of movie producers, musicians, and billionaires chasing sunsets. Now it belonged to a woman who had known more eyes on her life than most people could bear. Selena stepped out, barefoot on the marble steps, breathing in the scent of jasmine that drifted from the garden. Benny followed, watching her expression as she looked around that mix of awe and disbelief he loved most about her. "This is all ours," he said softly. And for a moment she laughed, almost like the young girl from Texas who'd first dreamed of Los Angeles. But even in laughter, her voice carried a tremor, a reminder that joy, for her, often arrived with shadows. She had learned too many times that every bright moment carried a cost. And this house, though beautiful, felt almost too bright to trust. The estate agent had called it the View House. From its balconies, you could see the whole city stretching to the ocean. At night, the skyline shimmered like spilled diamonds, silent and unreachable. Selena loved it and feared it all at once. She walked through the halls, the grand staircase, the recording studio, the endless mirrors, each one reflecting 1,000 versions of herself. Fame had given her everything and taken nearly as much. In one of the smaller rooms, sunlight fell over a baby blue piano she had ordered weeks before. She pressed a key, and the soft note filled the room like a secret. Benny smiled. "I'll build you a song right here," he said. "Just us. No cameras." That promise, simple and ordinary, made her eyes glisten. Because what she wanted most wasn't fame or fortune anymore, it was normal. They spent the first night in the mansion without furniture, wrapped in blankets on the floor. Outside, coyotes howled across the canyon, and the wind brushed the glass walls like fingers tracing a melody. Benny cooked pasta on a single burner. Selena laughed when the smoke alarm shrieked. For the first time in months, there were no paparazzi, no assistants, no interviews waiting. Only the sound of two people learning how to be quiet together. The next morning, headlines exploded. Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco buy $35 million love nest. Paparazzi swarmed the gates, drones hovered over the pool, and gossip channels called it a statement of permanence. But inside the mansion, Selena was curled on a couch, reading poetry aloud while Benny sketched beats on his laptop. They had both lived their lives in front of an audience now. They were building one behind closed doors. It felt like the first breath after years underwater. Still, the outside world never truly stopped knocking. Rumors began to swirl about secret recording sessions, about wedding plans, about family hopes whispered too soon. One blog claimed they were building a nursery, another insisted she was retreating from fame. Selena read none of it, though sometimes she felt the noise pressing through the windows. Peace, she realized, was fragile, especially when millions wanted a piece of your silence. In the weeks that followed, the mansion began to fill with life. Soft rugs, rare books, a wall of framed photos from childhood touches of past and present entwined. Selena turned one room into a sanctuary with candles and old vinyl records spinning quietly through the night. She told friends it was where she went to remember what still matters. Benny, ever the creator, filled another space with instruments, turning echoes into music. They worked together often, writing songs that felt half like confessions, half like prayers. Sometimes he'd play a melody and she'd just listen, eyes closed, whispering lyrics that only made sense to them. Their love was no longer about grand gestures or fame. It was about comfort, laughter, and shared quiet. But the world couldn't resist making noise. Every drone photo, every rumor, every speculation seemed to tug at the threads of their privacy. One afternoon, a neighbor sent word that a helicopter had been seen hovering low over their property. Selena frowned, watching from the balcony as the wind stirred her hair. "Even here," she murmured, "they find us." Benny wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. "We'll let them see the view," he said, "but never the truth." That night, she posted a photo on Instagram, the sun setting behind the hills, her caption simple: "Peace tastes different when you earn it." The post went viral within hours, fans flooding her comments with love and longing. Some celebrated her happiness, others mourned their distance from her world. But the truth was gentler. Selena wasn't pulling away. She was growing roots. And roots, unlike fame, take time to settle quietly beneath the surface. Months passed. The mansion became not just a home, but a rhythm: mornings filled with sunlight and coffee, nights with music and laughter. They hosted small gatherings, close friends only, nights of stories and spontaneous songs. Those who visited spoke of how warm the house felt, how love seemed to hum from the walls. Yet, beneath the serenity, both knew that peace in Hollywood was always temporary. They had built something rare, and rarity attracts curiosity. One evening, as autumn brushed the hills with gold, Selena sat by the pool watching city lights shimmer. Benny joined her, holding 2 mugs of tea, the air cool and still. "I never thought I'd have this," she said. "Not after everything." He nodded, eyes soft. "You earned every piece of it." She smiled faintly. "Then why does it still scare me?" He didn't answer right away, only reached for her hand. They both knew the answer anyway. Happiness frightened her because it felt temporary, as if one wrong step might break it. But maybe, she thought, that fear was part of being human, to love deeply, knowing it could vanish. The stars blinked above them, quiet witnesses to their fragile peace. And for the first time in years, Selena let herself believe in forever, even if it lasted only that night. In the months that followed, whispers of new music began again. Friends hinted that the songs coming from their home were unlike anything she'd written before. Raw, vulnerable, filled with tenderness and truth. Perhaps, they said, the mansion had become her muse, a space where love and art finally met without pain. But Selena never confirmed it. She preferred mystery now. Reporters kept circling, eager for access, for confirmation, for quotes. But the gates remained closed. The story told only in fragments. A photo of her laughing in the garden. A video of Benny carrying groceries, smiling at a fan from afar. Small glimpses. Enough to remind the world they were still there, still in love. The longer they stayed hidden, the more romantic the legend became. People began calling it the House of Quiet Hearts. And perhaps that was true for within its walls. 2 people who had once belonged to everyone finally belonged only to each other. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And real, in their world, was the rarest treasure of all. As winter turned the hills silver, a light rain fell over Los Angeles. Selena stood by the window, watching drops trace the glass, thinking of all the storms she'd survived. This time she wasn't running, she was resting. The house creaked softly, the sound of wind and peace interwoven. Behind her, Benny played the piano, slow, patient, certain. When he finished, she turned to him. "What's it called?" He smiled. "Home." She laughed quietly, wiping a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. For once, there was nothing left to prove: no cameras, no stage, no audience. Just the sound of music finding its way through the walls of a home built from love. By spring, their story had already been written 1,000 ways by others. Tabloids invented feuds and reconciliations, breakups and makeups, but none of it mattered anymore. The truth was simpler: 2 artists who had found in each other not drama, but stillness. And in Hollywood, stillness is the loudest miracle of all. So when people drive past that high wall and see only shadows moving behind glass, they imagine stories, some wild, some tender. But the real story lives inside, in laughter that no headline can capture. The mansion remains, its windows glowing softly at dusk, a beacon of quiet triumph. Selena's voice still echoes from its rooms, humming songs meant for no one else. And Benny's music, somewhere deep inside, keeps the heartbeat steady. Sometimes peace looks like retreat. Sometimes love sounds like silence. And sometimes the most powerful thing a star can do is simply close the door. Inside that door, there are no fans, no questions, no rumors, only a woman who finally learned to breathe, and the man who helped her remember how.